Hey crafty friends, it is Laura. Welcome back. Today, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be making with the Love from Lizi November 2019 card kit. And I've gone ahead and jumped right in. It's been a while since I've used one of these card kits, so I was really excited to share these cards with you. And I'll be doing 5 different examples today. So I've gone ahead and grabbed one of the patterned papers included in the kit and cut down 2 strips. I'm keeping these cards really simple. I wanted these to be quick and easy and fun to create because Christmas is stressful enough, and if you're anything like me, you have an awful lot of cards to make and you leave it to the last minute even though you tell yourself you won't every single year. So these types of designs are really easy because they're fun and they're quick to put together. And if you like to try and make different cards for everyone, then you can mix up the patterned papers or the embellishments and keep a similar design, or you can switch it up completely with any of these different designs and just keep it really fun and fresh. Okay, so while I was waffling on there, I've stuck down those 2 strips of paper. You could also do this perfectly centered in the card to make it look almost like a present. I think that'd be really cute. And then I'm grabbing my secret weapon, which is the Love from Lizi peel off stickers, and I'm just using those to outline the shapes. This gives a really great effect of matting and layering, but without any of that pesky like mathematics to try and figure out exactly how big you need to cut your base layers. And it's really fun because they've got these nice specialty effects. This one is like an ice blue colour, and then it has some silver along the edges, so it just looks really pretty. So I've gone ahead and outlined those pieces, and then I'm grabbing this decoupage sheet. This is one of the 2 decoupage sheets that came in the kit, and I've sped this up because I'm just going to grab those pieces. I'm following the numbering, I'm using the base layer, and then I'm popping up all of the layer 1 pieces with some tiny foam squares behind them. I'm using a whole bunch of them. I tend to do that because I want my cards to really hold up in the post and to last. And then I'll just pick off all of the adhesive covers on the back and stick those down. And once layer 1's done, I'll move on to the next layer, and so on and so on. So you can see it builds up to this really fun dimensional element, and it looks like you have spent such a long time on this card when in reality you've just spent a couple minutes picking off the backing of those foam squares, and if you use less than I'm using here, it would probably take a little less time as well. So then for my sentiment, I'm grabbing one of the stamps from the kit. This is For You, and I'm stamping that down in my favourite sentiment ink, which is VersaFine ONYX Black, and I'll be sure to list everything in the description below as well. Then I've grabbed a glue pen and I'm going to add some glue to the back of this piece and then go ahead and stick that down, and that will be card 1 finished. You can tell it's been a while since I've made cards because my glue was just ever so slightly clogged. It cleared up no problem, but that usually doesn't happen to me because I'm usually picking up my adhesive so frequently. But there you go. That is the perils of trying out other crafts and taking a break from cards for a little while. So to finish up this card, there is one more thing. I'm grabbing the Nuvo drops and I'm just adding some small dots. You can see I'm kind of circling my hand as I lift it up. That's because these drops were getting a slight peak. It's usually to do with the temperature of your room, so you can warm the drops up a little bit by kind of rubbing them in your hand, or I've had some people kind of pop them inside of their bra for a couple minutes, and that warms it up just enough that you don't get those peaks. But you can see that they flattened out anyway, and they're not kind of pointy on the end card. Okay, moving into card number 2. So I forgot to mention I grabbed white card bases for all of these cards, and everything else I'm using is from the kit with the exception of any kind of dyes or adhesives that I'm using. So I've stuck down some of the plain cardstock, and then I grabbed an oval die and ran it through with this gorgeous kind of pink feather patterned piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick down that oval, and it's such a simple design, but I really like how this looks on the card, and you know, so easy to mass produce and to keep it kind of different with different colors and different textures. Anyway, so I'll stick that down, and then I'm going to add another one of the swan elements. They're so beautiful, all of these little swan details included in this kit. This is one of the ephemera pieces. I forgot the word ephemera for a minute there, but this is one of the ephemera pieces, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down, And then I wanted to add a little something extra. So I actually used my scalpel, my little blade here. Scalpel's a bit dramatic, isn't it? Let's be honest. I'm not in Grey's Anatomy. So I used my little blade just to peel up that oval layer. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick down these two snowflake pieces. These again were both included pre-die cut in the kit, but we did also get some dies, so you could go ahead and cut some additional shapes if you wanted to, especially from that glitter cardstock that was included. So I've grabbed one of the sentiment pieces and I'm just going to pop that up with some foam squares, and not all of these have a Christmas theme, so you know, the way you mix up the sentiments, you can make it either sort of generic, winter themed, or more Christmassy. Okay, card 3. For this one, I've grabbed 2 of the patterned paper pieces and I'm going to cut them down so that they cover approximately half of my card base each. So you could definitely make 2 of these really easily by using the offcuts from each of those pieces. I've just used my paper trimmer to go ahead and trim it down, and then I'll stick those down onto the card base. Now, if you have been watching my videos for a while, you may be wondering where I've been with my Love from Lizi videos. I've definitely been doing some additional crafts. I think crafting is quite addictive, and there are so many on my list that I want to try or that I have the products here for, and I'm just not getting the time to use them. So I'm alternating things a little bit, and rather than just doing cards or just celebrating cards on my YouTube, you'll see that I'm doing a lot more general craft videos as well. So hopefully you guys are enjoying those also. So I've stuck those pieces down. I'm going to use my long scissors to trim off any of the excess, and then of course you know what I'm going to do. I have 2 pieces of paper that meet each other and they have that little kind of seam or join where they meet. I'm going to grab a peel off and use it to cover that up because it just adds a finishing touch like you wouldn't believe. It just looks so beautiful in person when you have that kind of covered up, and it's a great way to add just a little extra personalization to your cards, especially if you are mimicking a card design, or if you're making multiples, you can use different colored peel-offs. Okay, so I grabbed the navy colored cardstock and I die cut an oval shape. I was really feeling the oval shapes for these cards. I don't know, sometimes you just get something in mind and roll with it, and that's what I was doing here. So I die cut the oval and I'm just using glue to go ahead and stick that down. And then I have another one of those ephemera pieces and I'm going to add some glue to the back of that and stick that down. I did think about popping this piece up. I do love dimension on a card, but sometimes it's nice just to keep everything a little bit flatter and make it easier to post. I wanted to add a little bit of extra texture in the background, so I again just peeled up that layer. It's great to have your craft knife on hand for you know, situations like this where you stick something down and then you think, oh, I should have put something behind that. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trimming down some of one of the feathers and I'm going to go ahead and tuck that behind the oval, and it just adds a nice subtle little touch of texture in the background. So once I was happy with the placement of those, I grabbed my scissors again, trimmed off the excess of that peel off, and of course I'm going to go ahead and stick that back on my sheet to use on another card. Okay, so let's jump into the next card. For this one, I'm going to do some colouring. So I grabbed some of the snow globes. These were an add-on stamp set and they are so stinking cute. I really love these. I grabbed 3 of the larger snow globes and I was trying to figure out how to position them on this card using my mini Misti, and I wanted them all in a straight line and they didn't quite fit on the card base, so I decided to swap out that middle snow globe for a smaller one, and I'm so glad I did. The smaller one is probably the cutest. It is adorable. So once I was happy with the placement, I used the lid of my Misti to pick up my stamps. And when you're stamping multiple stamps like I am here, or really detailed stamps like these ones are, it does really help to have a stamp positioning tool. That doesn't mean that you can't use these without a stamp positioning tool. You just would probably get better results if you stamped them one by one rather than all at the same time. Here I had a little piece of that feather that I cut down for the last card that had just floated into my Misti and was causing havoc. So I managed to pick that out and then stamp everything down. And I actually went ahead and double stamped. So now I have sped you right up because I am not an expert when it comes to colouring. I just grab a couple colours, sort of a light, a medium and a dark, that look like they would go together and look like the colour that I want my object to turn out, and then I cross my fingers and hope for the best. So I'm leaving the colouring in so you can see what I do, and I will show you all of the markers that I used at the end. I will do a little freeze frame so you can grab a screenshot and see those colours if you're at all interested. But I love how you can see these come to life on this sped up colouring. I'm using some reds, yellows and browns. And then I also used a very light blue to colour over the snow globes just to give them that kind of glass-like effect. I attempted to do a little bit of shading. I'm not great at it, I'm not going to lie. I tried to make the edges of the snow globes a little bit darker and then lighter in the middle, so there'd be a little pop of, I don't know, extra dimension, so the light is kind of hitting the front of them. If you see what I mean here, it's kind of darker at the outside edges and then lighter in the middle. Again, totally not a colouring expert, but I really like how these turned out. And then to ground them, I added a very light grey line underneath them and then just kind of blended that out so it was a little bit darker right underneath the snow globes and it blends out. So that was your opportunity to grab your screenshot. If you missed it, quickly rewind the video and you can grab your screenshot of all of the colours used. And then I'm grabbing another one of the sentiments. This is, of course, Merry Christmas. And I'm using again my VersaFine ONYX Black ink. So you could totally stop here and that could be your card, once you've glued it to your card base of course, which is what I'm going to do now. But I recently tried a product that is new to me and it is Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. You may have already tried it, it may be an old product that's been around for years, but it was new to me and it is similar to a Glossy Accents product. However, with Glossy Accents, I always have the liquid, the medium that I'm trying to put down kind of seep along the edges of where I'm trying to put it. And I do not have that problem with this Dimensional Magic. So if, like me, you always make a mess of your Glossy Accents, I would definitely recommend you give this a try. It kind of holds its shape a little better when you put it down, so it doesn't sort of ooze and spread. And anyway, so I put this down over the top of each of the snow globes, just over that kind of glass. I'm going to say glass, it's obviously paper, but the part that would be made up of glass. I'm spreading it out on there so it adds some dimension. It's a little cloudy at the moment, but you'll see in the picture at the end that it does dry completely clear. And then I grabbed this snow that was included in the kit. Lizi is great for including products that kind of stretch your skills and that you wouldn't maybe use on a card. And I sprinkled that into the wet Dimensional Magic so it would stick in place and create some depth and dimension of some snow. And I think it looks really great. Okay, so for our final card, I'm using one of these pre-made shaker tags. This would be a perfect gift tag. However, I'm going to use it on a card and I decided to very carefully cut along the outside edge right where the foam that is in there meets the paper, and I'm going to stuff it full of these little wooden gems. They are sparkly little wooden pieces. There are snowflakes, stars and swans, and I decided to just really stuff them in there to make a really full shaker. It was already pretty full with the seed beads and whatnot that come in there, but I thought these wooden pieces would be really great for like a giant shaker. So I kind of played around with that until I was happy. I did have two swans in there at the start and then I ended up taking one of them out because I felt like it was a little too much. But once I was happy with how everything looked, I just went ahead and added some extra glue right along that join that I'd cut open and just pressed that in place and stuck it down. So now it is time to decorate the card base. I grabbed some pattern paper that features the swan imagery and I applied a whole bunch of glue. I don't know why I mix between the wet adhesive and the dry adhesive when I'm working on these cards. Honestly, most of the time I'm just grabbing whatever is nearest to me, and you would think that that would be consistent, but it's not. My craft desk gets messy. So I'm sticking down the swan, and then I grabbed a little strip of one of the other patterned papers just to have an accent piece, and I love that dark blue with the snowflakes. I think it looks so elegant. So I went ahead and stuck that down in the bottom third, and of course, you know, you've guessed it by now, even if this is the first video that you've ever watched of mine, I'm adding peel-offs. I behaved myself and stuck to just one type of peel-off for this video, but I definitely got some of the selection packs as well, so yeah, I've got a problem. They are definitely addicting in a very good way. So I added those along the top and the bottom of that join and just used my craft knife to trim away any of the excess and saved those little pieces. And then I had this little Merry Christmas banner that came in the kit, and I wanted to use it, but it had a white outline, and I felt like that was too stark a contrast against that blue, so I just trimmed it off. It didn't take too long, as you can see here. I was just careful with my scissors and just worked my way around the edge of that design to trim off that little white edge. So I did go ahead and remove the tag string. I didn't trim off that little section at the top that the string would have threaded through. You could definitely have done that, but it didn't bother me, so I just left it on there. And I stuck that down in the top section of my card. And then I'm going to grab that little Merry Christmas banner and add some foam squares to the back, peel off the backing, and stick that down right in the center underneath. And that is my 5 cards finished. I really enjoyed creating with this kit. If you didn't manage to get your hands on this kit, go ahead and check the website. There may still be a couple left in stock depending on when you're watching this. And great news, if you're already looking forward to next month, the new kit is released tomorrow, so you don't have to wait very long at all. The 19th of every month, the new Love from Lizi kit is released, and you can go ahead and check out all of the links in the description below for everything that I used today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know in the comments which card is your favorite, and I hope to see you back here again soon. That is all for me today. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.